This is not worth what it used to be. This just cannot buy as much as it used to in the past. And that's due to inflation. This is the basic principle of inflation, where the value of money decreases while the prices of goods and services increases. So as we know, the past 2 years, we've really seen inflation just go crazy lately. So I wanted to talk about how us as millennials, as people who are working to pay off their student loans, to buy a house, maybe even get a new car, start a family, how do we deal with this when we got such a crazy start with our adult lives after we graduated from college? Stick around, we're gonna be talking about inflation and how to deal with that. Hey, what's up guys? It's Justine with Debt Free Millennials, the channel to help you crush your debt and live payment free and live with inflation. Let's be honest, this is happening, it's not going anywhere. And so I actually got this request to do this video from Instagram. If you're not following me over there, definitely check me out at debtfreemillennials_ and follow along with this process. So I wanted to give you guys some useful things that I found on the internet doing my research on inflation and just exactly what was going on. So let's hop over to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics and we'll see exactly where we're feeling the most impact on our wallets. Just doing a quick check on the consumer price index, I could see that everything has pretty much increased, including a 7.5% increase in 2021 alone. That was the biggest increase in inflation since 1982. So when I clicked into this chart to see kind of a breakdown of this, you can see exactly which categories had the highest inflation. So by and large, used cars and trucks, this was crazy, a 40.5% increase. Food experienced a 7% increase and energy 27%. Everything has gone up. And so if you're noticing when you're going to the grocery store, at least for me, it was kind of not noticed at first because I don't know about you, but when you go to the store or maybe even just doing an online order, I'm not really paying close attention to the prices like I am, but I'm also not noticing that there has been a price difference in different things, such as buying produce. Okay, green bell peppers are 99 cents one week and now they're $1.29. Not really noticing that because I'm not buying green bell peppers every single day until you get to your monthly budget report and you're like, oh my God, I spent $200 more on groceries, but I feel like I didn't buy more food this month. Okay, so food was obviously a really big indicator of like how things were being impacted. Energy too, 27%. That includes gas. Electricity is also in there. So here in California, we are easily paying over $4 a gallon, and we always try to fill up in places where we know we're getting the best deal. For us, that's using Costco and our Costco membership to get a slight discount on the price per gallon. So I'm curious how you guys are doing this, but that has been a big thing for us. And also electricity, which is really insane. The cost of energy has gone up dramatically. Now we don't run our heat and our air conditioning at all because it's San Diego. We can have the windows open pretty much all year round. And so a $50 energy bill that we usually have for December was now $120. So we're talking about more than doubling our energy bill even though we didn't use more energy. Okay, now remember the consumer price index is the average change of how much goods and services cost over a period of time. And so I feel like this video has now turned into like a mini economics lesson. I actually really liked economics when I took it in college, but it's that average change in the price that we pay for goods and services over time. And generally speaking, doing my research, I found that the Federal Reserve likes to set an annual inflation of about 2%. And we've actually seen a 7.5% increase this past year. So wow. I mean, we're talking about like triple plus more than even what the Federal Reserve was going to set. So what can you do about all of this? Everything's just more expensive. And for us, you know, we're millennials, we're in our 30s, we are looking at buying a home, we have a baby. What do we do? Honestly, I don't have the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but I wanted to give you some helpful tools or things that I'm doing to help combat inflation and deal with it in a practical way that makes sense for us. And hopefully this leaves you with some ideas of what you can do for yourself. I've broken this down into 4 major categories. That includes food, consumer goods, cars, and homes. Okay, so for food, here's what I'm doing, and here's what I would suggest you do as well, which is canceling any meal delivery services or cutting down the frequency of your meal delivery services. So I had HelloFresh, and I was doing 3 meals a week, mainly because as a new parent, I didn't really know how to do like cooking and taking care of a baby at the same time. Now that I'm getting the hang of it, I am slowly decreasing the amount of meals that I get from HelloFresh. So now it's down to 2 a week. And then I got a deal because I was going to cancel it. And then they gave me a coupon. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll stay for the coupon and then I'm leaving. And I think that's going to help cut costs on food just a little bit. Also, you can actually go physically into the grocery store instead of paying for your groceries to be delivered for you. I know I got in a habit of doing that, especially during the pandemic, where they're going to charge you a delivery fee and also increase the prices of food for any type of online delivery service. So I would encourage you to try to fit it into your routine to actually go in store or opt for a local store pickup and see if doing a pickup changes the price of what you pay for your groceries. Another thing you can do for food is get creative with eating out. So Kyle and I actually did this. We really like ordering sushi for dinner, but we found it was super expensive. Whereas when we went to sushi and had sushi for lunch, it was so much more affordable. We got a really great sushi combo deal for like 13, 15 bucks instead of, you know, a $20 per person order. So that's a way you can get creative with it, as well as taking advantage of happy hours where a lot of food and drink is typically half price. There's a really good deal, and just use that as an early dinner instead of doing like a full course meal eating out. All right, consumer goods. Before you go to purchase something, get intentional with your spending. I'm actually in the middle of doing a 30-day intentional spending challenge. If you want to learn more about that, I will link to the video that has the 2 basic rules you need to know up here in the cards if you want to check that out. But basically, before you spend money on consumer goods, ask yourself, is this something that I love spending money on? Like, it genuinely is like, yes, I love this. I love spending money on this. If so, carry on, my friend. Carry on with that purchase. If you are spending out of habit and you're just like, oh, well, I always run through Starbucks on my way to work. Is this something that you're really loving, or can you somehow minimize those Starbucks trips and start doing some really fun at-home coffees instead? Also, another thing you can do, I don't consider myself a frugal person, so very rarely will you find me like doing these thrifting outings. I just don't find it enjoyable because I get a little overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that are in thrift stores. However, I figured out that I can do it with specific goods that I'm looking for. So for example, I don't typically thrift for clothes because, like I said, I get overwhelmed with choices and I'm just not very good picking out things like that or seeing it, having the eye for it. However, I am much better at picking out children's books for my daughter Quinn. So I actually did this last week. I was at Goodwill dropping off some stuff for donation, and I thought, let me just swing in the store. I never go in store and see what kind of children's books they have for story time. I kind of get bored reading Goodnight Moon every single night. And lo and behold, they had a great book actually from my childhood, If You Give a Moose a Muffin, and it was for $1. I actually paid with 4 quarters. How crazy is that? Who pays with real coin anymore? So perhaps thrifting could be something that you do, maybe not for everything that you purchase, but maybe pick something where you're like, huh, yeah, kids' books, I'm sure I could thrift that and get a really good deal instead of paying $10 per book on Amazon. Awesome. Okay, let's talk about cars. If you're thinking about buying a car, as you saw in that chart, they've risen in price over 40% this past year. Let me tell you this, the cheapest car that you can buy is the one that you already own. Remember that. There will be no cheaper car than the one that you already own, even if you have to do some mechanical work to that car. Every car needs work. They need repairs. They need constant maintenance. So if you are staying on top of that maintenance, which that's a reminder to myself that I need to go get the oil changed and start looking into replacement tires for our Subaru Forester. Yes, think about that. So if you can really focus on getting extra mileage out of your car and realize, is there anything majorly wrong with this car? Can I still drive from point A to B, or am I just saying, oh, it's getting up in miles, it's old, it's not safe? Let me tell you, I rolled around in the back of a 1986 GMC Suburban during my childhood years. You're fine. But if you're still thinking, actually, I really do need to buy right now, then I would suggest looking at private owners or car dealerships that have a fixed price, such as CarMax, so that you know what you're getting into and that you can actually have a set price to work towards. And I find working with private owners can be a little bit easier because you can pay in all cash and it makes it just, there's no like crazy dealership. I had a terrible experience working with a dealership on the purchase of our Subaru Forester, and I don't want to do that again at all. And the last thing that I'll say about car buying right now is if you can hold off on it and just wait as long as you can, I would. Even still taking the occasional Uber and having that expense is way less than purchasing a car. And that's exactly what Kyle and I have been doing. We actually saved a whole bunch of money for a second car, and we've been sitting on that cash for the past 2 years because we realized we don't need the second car. With us working from home and doing everything with one vehicle has actually really worked out well for us. So we thought, let's just save that money and wait until the car market dies off a little bit and gets back to a place where we feel like we can afford it and we're not overpaying for a car. Okay, and the last category when it comes to inflation, major category, homes, houses. This one probably hurts me the most. I actually saw this article from the New York Times that said today, first-time home buyers in once affordable markets have competition from all kinds of sources that didn't exist a generation ago, from global capital, from all-cash iBuyers, from institutional investors renting single-family homes, from smaller-scale investors running Airbnbs. That is so true, and definitely more so here in Southern California. And I have to say, this one just, I think, affects me the most. I'd love to know, this is the question of the day, of the video, which of these categories affects you the most? Tell me below. This one is definitely ours because we live in a 2-bed, 2-bath condo and we pay $2,800 a month, and that's soon going to increase to about $2,900 a month because we are experiencing an increase in our rent. Even though I negotiated, they wouldn't budge. And San Diego actually did pass a law this past year that said landlords cannot increase rent more than 10% in 1 year. So the landlord could have easily charged us $280 more extra per month for our rent and said, okay, take it or leave it. And so I'm really glad that didn't happen. However, it just, the way that things are shaping up, it makes home buying for first-time home buyers so just far less attainable than it used to be in the past. And so we may have to come down to a point where we're either going to have to buy something that isn't our ideal starter home, which instead of going into a single family home, we may have to go into a condo or another apartment that we outright own, or a duplex. Is it something smaller? And then kind of scale up from there if we stay in Southern California. Or if we move back home, you know, we could get a bigger house, but still be in these bidding wars and just hope that having a bigger down payment that goes farther back home in the Midwest would actually benefit us as first-time home buyers. So I don't know. All I know is that here, renting now is the thing that makes the most sense, and we can still make that happen as a family of 3 in this apartment. We can definitely make that work. It's all about sacrifice, and I also think this is really up to your personal preference, your lifestyle, and the area that you're living in and its affordability. A place like Southern California and San Diego, you're going to see home prices increase regardless of what the rest of the country is doing, because it's such a desirable place to live, and we're going to see that continue. Whereas, you know, if we are moving to a place like St. Louis, maybe we can see it dip again and get into a market in that area much faster. Not saying I'm moving to St. Louis, but you get what I'm saying. This one just drives me bonkers, and I have a feeling that we're going to continue renting or buy somewhere cheap in San Diego, which is like the only cheap thing is just to buy a smaller place and buy not a single family home, or move out of Southern California. That's kind of like our 3 options. So that's a look of what we're doing on how to deal with inflation. It's not a perfect formula, but it is helping us just be more intentional with our spending and holding off on bigger purchases while we can. Let me know if you are into this. If you want to get intentional with your spending, definitely check out my How to Control Your Spending workbook. That is a labor of love. Close to 500 copies have been sold of that workbook, and so it's benefited so many people in just getting their spending under control and figuring out how that's going to achieve their financial goals of becoming debt-free and staying debt-free. Thanks guys, I'll catch you in the next one.